Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this month's hearing of the Tuscaloosa Historic Preservation Commission. I'm Kathy Pagani. I chair the commission. I would like, today's date is October 9th, 2024. Our time is 5:00 p.m. I would like to invite my fellow commission members to introduce themselves to you, beginning on my right, please.
Matt McCool.
Jordan Morris.
Sally Davis.
David Nelson.
And joining us from city staff this evening, we have Mr. Chad Hobbs, the Senior Associate City Attorney, Mr. Hudson Cheshire, the Associate City Attorney, Mr. Jonathan Bowen, Neighborhood Resources Coordinator, Ms. Leota Coyne, Planner, and assisting with audiovisual production this evening, we have Mr. Kevin Jones. Before we proceed and look at this month's applications, I would like to go over the statement of purpose of the commission and the process and procedures for this evening. The general purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission is that we serve to preserve and protect the buildings, sites, and structures of historic significance and interest in Tuscaloosa's historic neighborhoods. We are governed by Chapter 20, Article 2 of the Code of Tuscaloosa, which includes design guidelines that are posted on the city's website. Our decisions are based on these design guidelines and do not consider use or occupancy. We do consider such factors as style, appropriateness of materials, and how the structure relates to other structures in the immediate neighborhood in determining the appropriateness of the application. An approval of an application requires 5 affirmative votes. If the certificate is approved, please be aware that there will be a final inspection by city staff of approved applications to ensure compliance with what was approved this evening by the commission. Let me go over the procedure just briefly. This is a public hearing. It is televised live on local cable, streamlined online through Facebook, and is being recorded to be posted on the city's website. We ask proper decorum, civility, and respect for others at all times. Prior to this meeting, notice was sent to adjacent property owners, and the public has been notified of the applications to be presented tonight. This hearing is a chance for the applicant to present their case, for the public to make their views known about the project, and for commission members to gather relevant facts before making its decision on the application. City staff will begin by introducing the application. The applicant will then have a chance to make any comments. The commissioners will then have an opportunity to ask the applicant questions about the case. I will then open the hearing to public comment. At the close of public comment, the commission will then discuss the matter and vote on the application. Any person wishing to speak on behalf of another person, group, or entity shall provide written authorization to the chairperson from that person, group, or entity being represented. Immediate family members, and that is defined as a spouse, a parent, or a child, do not have to provide such written authorization when speaking on behalf of another immediate family member. And we ask the applicants to please leave the signs in your yard. City staff will be around in the next few days to pick them up. Commission members, you've had a chance to review tonight's agenda items. Do any of the members have a conflict of interest as defined by Section 6 of the Commission bylaws with any of these items? Hearing none, we shall move on. City staff, I would like to ask if proper notification has been provided for each of the agenda items.
Yes, it has.
Thank you very much. And with that, we shall proceed to our first item. Thank you.
All right, Commission, starting off tonight, we do have one case that has been withdrawn by staff. That is HPC 5124. Moving into unfinished business, we have HPC 4924. That was continued from our previous meeting in September. Mark Nix petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior alterations to the primary structure. This is on the property located at 325 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. Here's a photo of the property from above and where it's situated within its historic district. Here is an image of the property itself and its neighbor to the north. For the proposal, the petitioner is asking to remove and replace the existing stone threshold and front steps at the front of the home. They want to replace the stone as close as possible with concrete. Here again is that primary structure. Zooming in, those are the front steps and threshold to be replaced with concrete. Again, just a shot of those steps today. Zooming in a little more for that front threshold. Here's some images the applicant submitted. They're going to mimic that stone with a concrete cast. And here's an example of the proposed finish. Material again is concrete. Here are our applicable design guidelines for rehab and alteration. We have design character, repairing original features, replacing old features, existing alterations, and materials. And we have not received any new public comment. When this case came before you originally, we did have one public comment with concern. Do you have any questions for staff?
Any questions for staff right now? Anything about the design guidelines? Right. Thank you so much. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up, please. And can you state your name and your address for the record?
Certainly. Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Nathan Rideau. My address is 5615 Union Chapel Terrace, Northport, Alabama.
Mr. Godot, here you are
Yes.
presenting this to us. Can you give us a little bit more specifics on what's going on with these
Yeah,
steps?
so last time I think everybody was more concerned about the process of how we were going to make the new cast concrete pieces. So to better tell you what would happen is we would take the existing piece of stone and have a rubber mold made of it, and then the concrete would be cast into that. So it would have an exact replica. And before any of that's done, I'm going to make sure that the concrete color is matched before I move any of the stone pieces. So it'll be that process of making sure the color is correct.
So, if I understand correctly, the application here is you're requesting to replicate
Yes.
as close as possible, sort of exactly in form, since you're going to make a rubber mold.
Yes, ma'am.
And then an appropriate color match to what
Correct.
exists now. So it sort of provides a sort of seamless appearance from what exists now.
Yes, ma'am.
But because you can't repair them, is that what I understand? These.
Yeah, the pieces are so small that even if we come in there with mortar, it's just going to chip right off.
And I would like to make a note that this is local sandstone. I saw in the packet it says limestone, but it's a local sandstone,
Okay.
which, you know, different composition in that stone.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. And I would like to note that if it's approved, we will try to repurpose the steps, possibly through historic Tuscaloosa. That's what my intent would try to be.
So
For the stone steps.
Yeah, when I hear repurpose, it sounds like use. So are you planning on repurposing, or are you hoping to donate them? Like when you mentioned historic Tuscaloosa, that sounds to me like you want to sort of donate it to.
The thought would try to be to donate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got one question.
Yes, sir.
The proposed, it looks like it's just a slick, modern look to it. Is that really how we anticipate it to look, or there's lots of ways to do concrete stamps?
Yeah, so the rubber mold would have even the finest details of it. And of course, there's cracks and stuff in there, but those cracks and stuff would be filled in and perfecting the mold. The picture's more of a color kind of. I mean, the color is going to be hard to show up there to replicate in a picture.
It kind of looks like a modern, slick finish. Any idea on the finish itself for the concrete, or?
The finish is going to try to be as close as possible. Like I'm saying, that mold would be rubber, and it would, it's going to take even the cracks that are existing already. Oh. So those cracks and stuff would have to be worked out of the mold, so it would be a nice, clean new piece.
Other questions?
Yeah, as you know from your many times here,
Yes, ma'am.
we're quite interested in and invested in this historic property. And the only two things at this point that seem to be salvageable from those stairs, those historic stairs, are the shape and the texture at the finish. So I hope your attention will be very much to those two items. It sounds like it with the mold,
Yes, ma'am.
and that can be controlled. I hope you will give every attention to the finish, too.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Certainly will.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you for answering our questions, Mr. Godot.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And let me open the floor up to public comment. Is there anyone here to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to it? I'll close the floor to public comment and open the floor to discussion and comments by commission members.
Related to the texture, I know that had always been a concern of mine that when you're trying to replicate stone with concrete, the finish that they typically get with concrete was made by either troweling it or running a broom over it. So the fact that they're taking the care to put a rubber mold to what's there to replicate that finish as closely as possible, I don't think there's any other way to get any closer. As far as the color, I think that we understand that trying to get as close as possible and get that medium gray and a relatively consistent finish is really all that we could ask for. So I don't see any greater standard of care that I could wish for with this.
Thank you. Any other comments by commission members?
So I would assume then that the texture for the threshold and the steps are all the same, correct? Material threshold for the threshold and the texture and the material and the texture for the steps, it's all the same?
My understanding is that texture is related to what the stone is currently, so that when they make the mold,
Right.
it takes that whatever texture there. Now, with this one, we've got all this damage here, so they are, my understanding is, filling in any cracks or gaps or whatever, so it will be that smooth
Space,
piece
that smooth
is
piece.
what you're going to have across the whole
Gotcha.
piece. But thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Nelson. And let the record show that Mary Harmon Young has joined the hearing. Welcome. Any other questions or comments? All right, we have a standing motion to approve HPC 4924 Mark Nix petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior alterations to the primary structure on the property located at 325 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. Voting on my right, please. Mr. Deason.
Yes.
Ms. Young.
Yes.
Mr. McCool.
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Dr. Davis.
Yes?
And Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Mr. Godot, your application has been approved this evening. Thank you for taking care in how you're going to approach this project. Good luck. Should anything change, see city staff, and do know there will be a final inspection. Thank you.
All right, moving into our cases to be heard tonight. We first up have HPC 5224, Ken Horton petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of an accessory structure. This is on the property located at 1029 Myrtlewood Drive, Myrtlewood Historic District, Council District 4. Here is that property from above and where it's situated within that historic district. Here is an image of the primary structure on the property and its northern neighbor, southern neighbor, western, and eastern. For the proposal, the petitioner is asking to construct a two-story accessory structure that will be used for storage. There's an existing brick garage. That second story will be constructed on top of that existing brick garage. The materials and design are going to complement the primary structure and the height measured at the midpoint of the gable for this structure is 18 feet. Here again is the subject property. Here is the garage. This case did come to us as a violation. This was the existing garage. Some work has been completed on this project, as you can see here. Moving into the plans that the petitioner has submitted, you can see that existing brick garage on the bottom to remain and building that second story on top. They have board and batten to match the residence. This piece over here, that is an existing pergola on the property. Moving into our other elevations provided here, you can see the stairs, as well as the proposed chimney, and again, on the southern elevation, that existing pergola. The applicant submitted some examples of other two-story accessory structures in our historic districts in town. Here are a few more.
Let me just ask, while you're showing those slides, in our historic districts, we have something like 15 historic districts, so where are these located?
The petitioner can confirm where they took these
Okay.
photos. They submitted several. This is just a sample of some of their photos they submitted.
Okay.
Moving into our materials, they are going to use an imitation slate roof. You all recently approved this for the primary structure at a previous hearing. They are proposing metal garage doors, brick to match the existing structure, cement board siding, composite decking and stair treads, an iron or cable rail, cement board, shake shingle on the fireplace to match the primary structure, wood or aluminum clad doors, and aluminum or clad wood window to match the primary structure. To show you some examples, these are the garage doors and proposed entrance doors for that second story. Here is some photos of the primary structure. You can see that fireplace shake material that will be replicated on the accessory structure, as well as the window from the primary structure. For our applicable design guidelines, we have our standards for rehab and alteration, starting with design character, repairing original features, replacing old features, existing alterations and materials, our detached garages and carport design guidelines, and storage sheds as well. We have our design guidelines for roofs, roofing material, windows, window materials. We did not receive any public comment for this application. Do you have any questions for staff?
Just a quick one. So you had said this was brought in as a violation. Can you give a little bit of the history of what went on prior to coming here tonight with this particular property?
Yeah, so I can provide a little, and Mr. Bowen can jump in as well. This project did not receive a permit from us. We were sent some drawings as staff to review. We asked for more information as this property is historic, and work had begun without receiving that permit, which led to a stop work order and eventually coming to you tonight.
And the existing, as it is now, not the prior existing, my understanding is it's too tall and didn't pass through zoning, or it's been around the block a little bit already, right?
That's correct. They went to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the location of the structure on the property and received approval for that, as well as the height of the structure that is out there. Let me, wrong way. This structure, the height was too tall, did not meet our zoning ordinance. They went to ZBA to ask for a variance that was denied. In the drawings tonight, these do meet our zoning ordinance.
These are what? I'm sorry?
These drawings here, this does meet our zoning ordinance for accessory structures.
This is what was approved by the zoning ordinance? Is that what you're saying? Or this is how it was built?
So these drawings are showing what the applicant, they're asking you all for the design approval for these drawings. This meets what our zoning ordinance requires for the height of an accessory structure.
So essentially what they had started to build was too tall, and they were sent back to the drawing board, and then this is appropriate in terms of the height for zoning, correct?
That's correct.
So what we're looking at now is we just need to consider design guidelines on it. It's all okay as far as city ordinance goes with height and placement, correct?
That's correct.
So they will rework what's already
What's
been
there,
built
correct?
down.
Correct, because
to
that has
these.
been, yeah, that has not been allowed because of the height.
Okay.
Yep, so that's exactly it, it's a reworking of it.
Any other questions for staff?
Leo,
Just one other question I've got. I mean, we've seen this before with the roof and the change in the material. What was the timeline as compared to the roof and the last time we've heard the applicant for this property?
That timeline, I don't know off the top of my head. We can check it as staff while the petitioner is speaking to you all and get back to you.
And, you know, I wonder, Mr. Morris, there was a question that was coming up about the height and looking at this image, because we had just heard about the 18 feet height, and we're seeing on this drawing a 20-foot height. And Mr. Morris was just explaining about the midpoint. Where would you like to explain that, Ms. Coyne?
Mr.
Just so it's
Bowen will
clear.
draw in here.
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
hop in. Okay, so I'm going to draw a blue line. Which
Yeah,
you can
please
see.
do that.
So-
And I think it benefits us, and it also benefits those who are here and those who are watching to understand how that
Absolutely.
number is derived.
Yeah, so with this gabled roof, in terms of a zoning perspective, we would measure this at the midpoint, which you can see that the applicant is notated with this dashed line right above where I just made those dashed lines. So if you come over here, you've got 18 feet. Now, they do include 20 feet, but that's just to show to the top of the gable, the top point. But from a zoning perspective, it meets the ordinance. It would fall in line with that 18 feet
Yeah.
requirement.
And thank you for that, because I think it can be confusing when you're looking at these kinds of plans and you don't quite understand how that number is determined or what is appropriate and what's not. So thank you very much. Is there any other questions about the height about this or anything more about the history of it?
I just was curious about the circa date of the house and the garage itself. Do you know when the house was built? Garage?
The petitioner can confirm, but this property is unique in that it was built around the same time the historic district was established, which was somewhere in the early 2000s.
Okay.
But I'll let the petitioner confirm the exact date.
Thank you very much. And let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up, please. And could you state your name and your address for the record?
Good
please?
evening. I'm Roseanne Fariolo. My address is 1029 Myrtlewood Drive. I'm not the owner, but I have a construction background, and I'm trying to assist and guide with meeting all of your regulations and your restrictions on the property to move forward. So the question was, how did we get to this point? An unreputable, untrustworthy contractor was hired from the beginning, and they didn't have a license. They lied that a permit was pulled. They continued with the project, and they kept telling us that this was approved until the building department came out and issued a stop order. Once the stop order was issued, we were asked to supply drawings on the property, and when the drawings were turned in, we were told that it did not meet the height requirement. So we went back to the drawing board, and we since then have tried to modify the property to meet the guidelines of the zoning board, and I think we finally got there after 4 months. The question that you asked about the roof, when we came in for the roof material, the slate that was approved, this was already in process. This started in June, and I think the roof was approved in August. So we didn't start this after the roof was approved. So anyway, we went back to the drawing board after the last zoning meeting, and we are trying to adhere to all of the guidelines, and I think we got it. We are matching the doors and the windows and everything that's in the primary residence. The primary residence is unique because it was built in 2006, which is really not a historic property, but it was built to historic guidelines. I guess that's what started the whole process of the historic board, because there were 3 properties on Myrtlewood that was a playground, and a developer bought them and built these 3 newer homes. And I think that threw up the red flag. It's a historic district, but now we have 3 new homes. So this house was built to those guidelines, and we are trying to mimic that with the gable roofs, with the doors, with the windows, with the brick, and even the roofing materials. Everything will look identical to the home and every home on the block.
And that's really all we ask for, with these
Right.
sorts of things, to be,
So I am
appropriate.
involved now, and we have a local contract. We have 2 contractors that we're interviewing. One of them is Price McGiffert, and the other one is Morris McDaniel. They both are very knowledgeable and well-versed in the historic district. One of them is doing a house across the street, and the other one is doing a house 7 doors away. So they've been through the process already, and they know it. So I feel like we've streamlined this now. We understand it. We've got it. And we just want to dry in this garage, because when the weather hits, our cars are not protected, where it's raining inside, and everything is deteriorating there. So we want to make it right.
Thank you for that. Do we have any other questions at Friola? Is that the?
Furiolo, yes.
Do you have any other questions for Ms. Friola? I think you provided a really extensive list of comments on what's happening here. Really appreciate it. You know, I did have a question earlier about the photos that were supplied of adjacent, or of similar 2-story,
Right.
garages in historic districts, but our historic districts are all over. What we really concern ourselves with is what's close by.
The one on the right is in Pinehurst. The one on the left is behind Oakmore. I've become very versed. That's Myrtlewood. That's
Yes.
the left one that's under construction right now. They've replaced the exterior walls with concrete block. They do, that, in fact, is 23 feet tall, that accessory building. The primary structure is 1 story, so this does not go by historic guidelines.
Well, and just know that there were things that existed before the historic districts were established, and so
Right.
they are already there.
Yeah,
And they don't
they're-
really serve as precedents, or we don't go back and retroactively tell them they can't
Okay.
have that since they already existed. But I was just curious about that, because typically we're looking at things in the immediate neighborhood, and I didn't recognize some of those as being in the Myrtlewood area, and that was the only
Right.
reason for my question. But are there other questions for Ms. Friola? Well, thank you so much. If we have anything else, we'll bring you back up.
Okay, thank you.
We've had no submitted public comment. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Yes, please.
I own the house, the property.
Oh, well, come on up and state your name and address.
My name's Ken Horton, 1029 Myrtlewood. This thing's been sitting barren for 4 months now. And we've been going to meetings and trying to get everything done. We just want to get closure. And we want to finish it. I have a house in Key West. We leave in like 3 months. So, we'd like to be able to get this done before we leave town, But,
Right.
It'll look good. It'll match the existing structure, and it'll look nice.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate that. Is there anyone?
Somebody said something about the roof. They're installing the roof Monday.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? Then I will close the floor to public comment and open the floor to discussion by commission members.
Given that we have other 2-story accessory structures elsewhere in the historic district, and they are associated with 2-story primary structures, given that the materials mimicking that of the primary structure is, as everybody has stated, newer. I don't see any issue with this, particularly with the height having been reduced, and so its scale and proportion to the primary structure is acceptable to me.
Any other comments? All right, then, it appears that we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5224, Ken Horton petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of an accessory structure on the property located at 1029 Myrtlewood Drive in the Myrtlewood Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote, beginning on my left, please. Dr. Nelson.
Yes.
Dr. Davis.
Yes?
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. McCool.
Yes.
Ms. Young.
Yes.
Mr. Deason.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, your application has been approved. Now, just remember, there will be a final inspection, and should anything change, in the meantime, please talk to city staff before you proceed. Good luck with your project. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Next up tonight is HPC 5324. Courtney Connolly petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior alterations to the primary structure, the removal and replacement of a rear yard deck, and the removal of a walking path. This is at 1711 7th Street in the 7th Street Historic District, Council District 4. Here's an image of the property from above and where it's situated within that historic district. Here is a photo of the subject property. Its adjacent property to the west, to the east, and to the north. For the proposal, there's 3 parts to this proposal. The first is to remove and replace a rear yard deck using treated wood materials. The second part is closing a vent hole that is on the front gable facade using cedar shake. And the third part is to remove a damaged cement walk that connects the front to the side entry. Here again is a photo of the primary structure. Here is a survey showing the deck. This project did come to us as a violation. We were alerted the deck had already been removed, as well as some of the front gable work you'll see had already been started. So as you're looking at it tonight, you'll see that some of this is in progress. Looking at the deck, though, it's going to be in the exact same location as the previous deck at the rear of the residence. Here is on the left the old deck, and on the right you can see some of the framing for the new deck. Moving into the second part, on the left you can see originally where that vent was at the front of the house. On the right, this is when we were notified about this change. You can see that vent had been removed, as well as some of that paint on the front. Here again is that today. They've covered up the hole temporarily just to keep pests out of the home. They're asking for cedar shake on the front. It's going to look something like this photo here.
And just to confirm, we're talking actual cedar shake.
The petitioner confirmed it is real cedar shake, and they're here as well and can confirm again. Moving to the sidewalk, you can see this here. Green was probably the wrong color to use there, but that walk running down the side of the house, they would like to remove that as well. For the material, the deck will be treated wood, and again, cedar shake for the front gable. Here are design guidelines for rehab and alteration, starting with design character, repairing original features, replacing old features, existing alterations and materials, moving into decks, and additional guidelines for decks. And then lastly, looking at sidewalks and paving. We did receive one comment in support of this application. Do you have any questions for staff?
Can we see the front facade before that vent was removed, please?
Wait, wrong way, let's see.
Are there any questions for staff?
Do I see a different door there?
Yeah, about the door. good observation, Dr. Nelson.
Is it?
So we can ask, let's ask the application about the door.
The applicant can speak to the door.
Yes. Any other questions for staff? Let's just keep those photos up for a moment. All right, thank you very much. Let me invite the applicant then, or the applicant's representative to come up, please. And could we get your name and your address for the record as well?
Yes, Wesley Jones, 14719 Sawmill Road.
Thank you. So, interesting observation right now about the front door. Can you tell us anything about that? We've got two different front doors.
This is something that the homeowner had done while we were waiting on this approval.
So the door has been changed,
It has.
which I'm assuming that we will ask if the applicant would like to include it with this. How do we handle something like this on the fly?
Give me 1 second, let me talk.
Sure,
let me talk
okay,
about it.
yeah, we'll come back to that, because the door needs approval
Yes.
to be changed out. All right. So what can you tell us about the application?
So the front was wood and plaster. Of course, she's wanting to go to the cedar shake, and it is real cedar shake. And like I said, the back porch was it was unhealthy, falling apart. We fell through it a couple times, working. So that's why she decided to take it down and just basically rebuild the same structure that was safe. But we'll be going back with the same treated wood and material that was there.
For that, we've got that deck, and then I see some new siding as well.
Yes, the siding was approved by, with
Okay.
the planning department.
The siding received expedited review. It was like for like, as well as repainting previously painted siding.
All right, some questions for Mr. Jones?
Can you talk more in detail about the removal of the walking path?
That is something that, like I said, the homeowner is involved in doing stuff on her own also. I do know the guy that's going to be involved in it, but I do not know detail on the sidewalk. I just seen that on the agenda tonight. I know she had talked about it, but I don't have detailed information on that. There is a landscaper that will be involved in taking that up. Like I said, she's from Florida, so I'm kind of filling in because she's not able to make it.
Understood. Well, and just, as we move forward on anything with this house, anything dealing with the exterior needs to come before us or be expedited review as that siding had been approved. So we've got a question about that door that has been changed out without prior approval.
And so just conferred with Jonathan on that to make sure that my understanding and what I was about to tell the commission was correct. So the door, yes, it is an exterior alteration. It does that change does require a certificate of appropriateness. There is not a procedure to allow for that type of amendment to be handled on the fly. So I don't think there's a way for the commission to take up the door one way or the other tonight.
All right.
The applicant would have to submit a separate application for the door for approval on that. That may be eligible for expedited review. I've not checked that against the design guidelines to see. If it was, then staff could work with the applicant on that. If it was not eligible for expedited review, then the door would also have to come back to the commission, probably at next month's meeting for the commission to rule.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. All right, so we know that about the door, that something has to be done with that door, but it won't happen tonight.
That's fine. I'll follow up with Leota and them on that.
Are there other questions for Mr. Jones? Well, thank you very much. If something comes up, we'll invite you back.
Okay, thank you.
We've had one submitted comment in support of this application. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? Then let me close the floor to public comment and open the floor to comment, discussion by the commission. we're starting to see some nice things happening with this property, that I think they're changing out the deck. Same footprint, same materials, so there's no problem there. It's just fixing really materials that have really fallen apart, so that seems fairly straightforward. Covering the vent hole. Go back, there we go, thank you.
From a personal opinion, I feel like that vent, looks like it should be there, based on the architecture. I think Jordan can probably tell us more about more of the specific craftsmanship, but I think even just looking at it covered already, I feel like it changes the view from the street a good bit.
Mr. Jones, would you mind coming back again for just a quick second? And can we, I'd like to get some clarification on where that cedar shake is going.
It will go in the whole front gable area.
The whole front?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
If you'll go back to the painted picture of it.
It'll be similar to this, just
Yes, ma'am.
right across the front.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am. So it will cover the whole, like she
All
said.
right, and do you mind me asking why you're covering up that vent?
Because the homeowner is requesting it, and I've never seen someone so adamant about bugs and insects, and I get phone calls on a daily basis that roaches are falling out of her air conditioning unit. So it's a phobia of hers, I guess, but this is the reason she wants that covered up.
And she lives in Florida.
I know. It's comical to me too, but you do what you're asked.
Understood.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate the point you brought up. I'm wondering if it doesn't have a function in ventilation that might be critical as well as being essential to the design.
From what I can see when we had it open, where the house comes, that's just basically open to the porch only. There's a wall. There's a wall coming up from the house, so it's not all the way into the attic, all the way into the house. Okay. That was one thing I told her about closing everything up. I said that the roof has to breathe, but this one, obviously, the front porch roof has to breathe too, but it does not go all the way into the attic space.
And to clarify, if we look at the picture on the left where there is also a vent in the upper gable, that one is not being changed or proposed to be changed. Is that
She
right?
wants it done, but like I said, she's adamant she wants every hole and every crack and every pipe that goes up into the attic to be sealed off.
But this is not what we're considering
No.
today. All right, thank you. Thank you for asking that.
To Mary Harmon's question, I think the aspect you're talking about with the vent, is that glass or is that vent? Was that glass up there or was that just a vent?
No, it was open. It had a screen on the backside.
Had a screen on the backside? But there is some kind of craftsman or some kind of detailing work below that, correct? Do I see a horizontal member that's been removed and then two verticals?
It was just trimmed out by a piece of like a 1x6 or 1x8 right there. Is all.
But it was a decorative, stylistic element probably of the original house, correct?
Right, yeah, right, where we see that raw wood.
Yes.
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 And yes, so is that wood being replaced? Are you covering that up?
You talking about on the picture on the right?
It's
The
gone.
picture on the right.
Just below that hole.
It's gone.
So that was just some one-by material. I don't think that was historical to the house. I think that was something that was just added at some point because I don't see any other stuff like that anywhere else on the house. But this picture over here where you have the slatted wood, that's where the plaster was, just like you see on the insides of the house.
Well, let me ask city staff while we're on that. The picture on the left, you could have seen they've got the tree branches, but you see those vertical members there in white. Nope, take that off. There we go. There are two vertical members. There we are, right? That look like a craftsman detail, right on there.
You know, there was like a 1x6 that was just flat to the spot going up.
There you go.
To me, my house has that. I've got a craftsman bungalow. It's part of the design. Going to Ms. Young's comment about the vent too, it's part of the design. I mean, I think we're good for now. I think if you'd like any more questions for Mr. Jones. All right, if you'd like to have a seat, and we've gone through the public comment, so now let's get our discussion going.
Well, I agree with everybody else, some of the other ones, that it's just changing the whole looks of the house. And I think I don't think we're supposed to change the looks of the house.
I mean,
We can correct.
you could functionally remove the vent and put some sort of black painted wood in behind it so it's no longer open, but it still has the same appearance as before.
Right. Right, that there are other solutions to close the vent other than removing it. It sounds to me that what I'm hearing from the commission members is that we are not in favor of removing that vent and putting that cedar shake across there. There's too much that changes in this house by doing that. So we can set that aside. How are we on the deck? Like for like, fixing up something that was falling apart? Okay. And how are we on that walkway? It's.
I take no issue with the walkway.
Pardon me?
I take no issue with
issue
the
with
walkway
that.
being removed.
Looks like it needs to be removed.
Yes, all right. So just to sort of clarify all of this, and let me just run it by folks over there at the other table. It appears that the commission is looking at this of approving the construction of the deck, the removal of the walkway, but is not amenable to removing that vent and covering it with cedar shake. So we could make a motion to approve the two elements. Any motion to approve those two elements and then make the stipulation that we are not supporting the removal of that vent hole. Is that correct?
That's correct. I believe, if I'm following correctly, it would be a motion to approve the application as to the
deck and the walkway.
The deck and the walkway, those two elements, and deny the application as to the vent element.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments, everybody? All righty, so we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5324, Courtney Connolly, petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior alterations of the primary structure, the removal and replacement of a rear yard deck, and the removal of a walking path on the primary structure located at 1711 17th Street in the 7th Street Historic District Council District 4, and the denial of the covering over of the vent hole in the front facade. Is that all right? Okay. And we shall vote beginning with Mr. Deason, please.
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. McCool?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So, Mr. Jones, we've denied covering over that vent hole or it's really removing that vent hole and covering it with cedar shake. You may find other solutions to cover it over, whatever that is you find appropriate, but according to the design issues, that is too much of an integral part of that structure. And then city staff will work with you on that front door as well and determine what happens moving forward on that one.
So she can still do the cedar shake around that as long as the vent area is...
No, nothing up there.
So it needs to go back to the way it was.
Yes, and if the issue is covering up that hole, then we leave that with covering up from the backside. We leave that to you. We don't make suggestions on that, but we want the appearance maintained of what the house is. Is that stated clearly enough, folks?
And probably the best thing for the applicant to do would be to confer with the city staff, Jonathan and Leota, on how to proceed forward from here, and because we'll also have to address the door.
Correct.
So they'll be
Correct.
coming back around on that
So
also.
yes. So city,
Madam Chair, if I may, since the application was denied as to that element of the application, I think you've already covered it, the stylistic reasons for why that was denied.
Would you like me to restate that on behalf of the commission?
If you would like to restate that, and if any other commission members have anything that they would like to add
Add
to
to
the
that?
reasons for voting.
All right.
on that element.
So that portion of the application was denied because it was determined by the commission that vent and the accompanying woodwork up there is too much of an integral part of the Craftsman bungalow style, and covering it over with cedar shake is too much of a change for us to approve. Would anybody else like to add anything to that? All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right, next up tonight is HPC 5424. Peggy Williams petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of an attached garage in order to construct an attached carport, and also for the removal of a tree. This is at 1 Oakwood Court in the Oakwood Court Historic District, Council District 4. Here's a photo of the property from above and where it's situated within that historic district. Here's an image of the property. It's adjacent property to the east, to the south, and to the north. Getting into the proposal, so there's two parts here. The first part is to demolish the existing garage and construct a new open carport in the same footprint. Part of this will also be pouring new driveway in the same footprint that exists today. The materials, you can see there's several wood products, paint to match the existing house, wood siding to match the primary structure, and architectural shingles to match the primary structure. Second part of this proposal is to remove a tree located on the property. The applicant has gotten an arborist letter that states the tree is healthy today, but due to the proximity to the residence and future growth of the tree, it should be removed while still in moderate size. Here again is that primary structure. This is moving down the 16th Avenue side. This is on a corner lot, just for a little more context here. So this garage is accessed from 16th Avenue. You can see that's the piece to be demolished. Here is a site plan showing that a little more clearly in the red box. You can see that attached garage as well as that driveway to be repoured. Here's just some measurements showing that the driveway is 10 feet at the entrance and widens to 17 towards the beginning of the garage. Getting into the demo plans, you can see on the top the existing and on the bottom the proposed demo in that kind of shaded orange color. So this is from the west elevation. Looking down the north, you can see some removal on the back wall as well as the roof line. As well as the applicant did state there was an error in the demo of the side of the garage on the right. You can see they accidentally overlaid the rebuild plans, but you can see up top it is this piece that is going to be demoed. Getting into the open carport that's going to be built back, you can see on top the existing, on the bottom the proposed from the west. You can see that roof line is going to raise a bit there over the primary structure height, as well as kind of that open look. Here are two more elevations showing that. If you notice, there are windows on the proposed elevation. The applicant confirmed they're not adding windows, that it will just be siding there. They can speak to that more. These also state that they'll be using vinyl siding. The applicant has also confirmed the existing structure has wood siding and they'll be using wood siding for this. They can confirm that as well. Moving into the tree, you can see the arborist letter here. I've put in a box on the right. The arborist states the 12-inch proximity of the trunk to the roof makes the recommended removal while the tree is still moderate in size. It will be 3 times the size someday if left unchecked, and for mitigation options, there are none due to the proximity to the residence. Here's some photos of that tree to be removed. For the materials, again, for the demo, you can see there's several wood products, paint to match the existing house, wood siding to match the primary structure, and architectural style shingles to match the primary structure. Moving into our applicable design guidelines, we have our standards for rehab and alteration. Again, design character, repairing original features, replacing old features, existing alterations and materials. Moving into carports and garages, roofs, roofing materials, and lastly, our landscape and plant materials. We did not receive any public comment on this request. Do you have any questions for staff?
Do we have any photos of that tree and its proximity to the house, or to show that?
We only have the photos shown in the slideshow, but I will go back to them. Oops.
Is that the same tree in the right photo?
That's correct. That's taken from the Oakwood Court side, I believe, and the photo on the left is taken from 16th Avenue.
And do we have a site plan showing where the tree is located?
I do not know if it's mentioned on the site plan, but maybe the petitioner can draw it while he's up here.
We don't have any kind of like I don't know, I guess we just don't, all right. Any other questions for city staff? All right, then let me close sorry. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come on up. And we will need your name and address for the record, please.
Wesley Jones, 14719 Sawmill Road.
Mr. Jones, where is that tree located exactly?
The tree is located on the back side of the attached garage there.
And how
it's
far?
about 1.5 feet off the house right now. You can barely walk beside it between the house and the tree. I would say the roots are already growing probably into the foundation. It hasn't showed any structural signs or anything, but their insurance is very adamant and worried about it. And the arborist, like I said, the tree's in good shape, but he said as it grows, it's gonna cause damage to the house.
Right. I saw some little dots going on the PowerPoint slide. Was that you guys doing that? Okay. Yeah. So it's right there by the garage, really close. Okay. Any other questions on that tree? Any questions about the work on the garage?
I'm wondering what makes it desirable to take down the garage?
There are some water issues. This garage is not original to the house. This garage has been added on at some point. It actually goes down towards the house, and somebody's added some kind of valley in the concrete to try to, water actually flows through the garage. So that's what we're proposing when we take that off. Like I said, we'll raise that up and bring it out, and then when we pour that concrete, it'll be to where it'll slope like it's supposed to back towards the road. But it's definitely not right the way it is.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Mr. Jones. You may have a seat. We've had no submitted public comment. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? Let me close the floor to public comment and open the floor to discussion by the commission.
I, for one, believe that the proposed carport is much more in keeping than the structure to remain than the garage that's going away.
I think it gives a cleaner look as well, and it's
Yeah.
more in keeping.
It clearly was a late addition.
Yeah.
And there's one behind it is just like what we're gonna do. We're on the other side of the tree, there's an open garage just like that. So they're kind of doing.
On Alica Place.
Ma'am?
It's on the Alaka Place, the one you're talking about.
It's on, right where the tree is on the backside of the garage, the neighbor has the same
Oh.
garage concept, yes.
16.
I'm not sure if that got picked up in the, by the recording or not, but, so there was comment that there's something very close by in the neighborhood that's very similar. Any other comments? All right, sounds to me like we have a standing motion to approve. HPC 5424, Peggy Jones petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of an attached garage in order to construct an attached carport and for the removal of a tree on the property located at 1 Oakwood Court in the Oakwood Court Historic District, Council District 4. Let us vote. Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. McCool?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Deason?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So, Mr. Jones, your application has been approved this evening. Should anything change, please see city staff, and good luck. You're welcome.
All right, next up, we have HPC 5524, Ginger Cruz petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a design and material change to windows on the primary structure. This is on the property located at 3 Hillcrest in the Hillcrest Historic District, Council District 2. Here's an image of the property from above, as well as where it's situated in its historic district. Here is a photo of the primary structure, its neighbor to the north, to the west, and to the east. For the proposal, the petitioner is asking to remove and replace 19 windows on the primary structure. There'll be no change to the size or location of the windows as they are located today. There will be a material change. The windows today are wood. The proposed material is composite with an aluminum wrap. There'll also be some other changes to the styles of windows and grille patterns, which is summarized here, but we'll look at more in detail. So on the front facade of the primary structure, they would like to replace 6 double-hung windows that have a 3x2 grille pattern with double-hung windows, but moving to the grills between glass style, but maintaining that light pattern that's there today. 2 windows are changing from double hung to casement and losing any light pattern that's there today. 9 windows are being replaced with the exact same picture window, just that material change we discussed. 1 window is changing from double hung to a picture window and losing its light pattern. And 1 window is changing from double hung to a gliding window style.
And just off the top of your head, are you able to, we have the front facade. Do we know about the other 4 types of windows, where they are? The 2 windows, double hung to casement, where are those located?
This is just kind of a summary.
Okay.
So in the next couple of slides, we'll look at which facades of the house they're on. But from the right-of-way, those first 6 that are listed would be the ones visible to the public. Here again is that primary structure. Moving into this a little more, so for each of these, the window specs are listed on the left. I underlined the window styles. You can see this one's double hung, as well as the grille pattern. Just that'll be consistent in all of these. But on this front facade, this is that double hung style, remaining double hung, remaining with the same light pattern that's there today, but switching to that grille between glass style. Moving around the house now, to the back of the house specifically, these 2 windows, 118 and 119, they're going to replace with a picture window of the same size and color. Moving to a few more windows at the back of the house, same thing here, a picture window of the same size and color as the existing. A lot going on this slide. So starting with window 113 in the top left, that window is double hung today, and they would like to put in a sliding window that's shown here. Moving over to windows 114 and 109 in the top right, Those are going to be a picture window like there is today, same size, same color. The last two at the bottom, windows 107 and 108, those are both double hung today. They would like to go to casement style with no grills. Moving on to a few more, window 110 shown at the top. They would like to replace the double hung window with that picture window and losing the light pattern that's there today. The windows 111 and 112 at the bottom, you can see they're going in with the same picture window as today. And this is just to summarize, again, everything you saw. So on the front, those 6 double hung windows remaining double hung, same light pattern, just going to the grills between glass. 2 windows changing from double hung to casement and losing that light pattern that's there today. 9 windows being replaced with the same exact picture window style. 1 window changing from double hung to picture and losing its light pattern. And 1 window changing from double hung to gliding. And with this, again, overall material change from wood to composite with aluminum wrap. So again, here's just that material, that composite with the aluminum wrap. Here is the material spec that the petitioner submitted for the grill between glass style that again is on those front 6 windows of the house. Here are the other performance ratings and some more here. For our applicable design guidelines here, and applicable design guidelines for materials. We received 1 public comment in support of this application. Do you have any questions for staff?
Can we go back 1 slide, please? I just wanted to highlight on here with our design guidelines, permanently affixed internal and external muntins should be employed where appropriate. And the windows on the front facade are not having internal and external muntins. Am I understanding that correctly?
The applicant can confirm exactly what the grill between glass style means in terms of the muntins.
And it was, a few of the windows looked like the size was changing. Am I correct on that?
So it is my understanding, and the petitioner can confirm, that all the windows that this company produces are custom. So the windows shown are examples of the similar style to kind of show you that light pattern to expect, but the size is a custom order. So this window here clearly does not match these 2 up here. It is an example of their picture window product.
Thank you for clarifying. Any questions for staff? Thank you, Ms. Coyne. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up, please. And if you wouldn't mind stating your name and your address for the record.
Jacob Hubbard, 4403 Englewood Road, Helena.
So you saw the design guidelines, Mr. Hubbard, that especially on the front facade of a house, the design guidelines state that internal and external muntins should be used.
Right. Now, I'm just the project manager. I'm the one that goes out and measures the job, does all of that. We have a salesman that sells everything, but any changes need to be made, I can make them and have it done. Like the grill, the mutton bars, where you're wanting them on the interior and the exterior.
So, for example, if we were to say that we require the internal and external muntins,
yes.
You would...
Yes, I can put in a change order for that,
do
because
that.
the windows
Right.
have not been ordered yet.
All right. Questions for Mr. Hubbard? Did you want to walk us through any of the windows? Do you want to tell us anything more? Do we have questions for him specifically?
I don't have any questions. The only thing, like where we're changing some of the windows on the back of the house from double hung to casement, is for building code to have, since they're in a bedroom, to allow for egress. Because going back with the double hung, they would not have the actual size that they need for the egress.
Thank you for providing that information. That's important to know. Other questions? Well, it appears we don't have any other questions for you. We just want to make sure I understand that we are replacing these windows, maintaining the original opening size. Right?
Correct.
In the front, the application is, on the front facade, the application is being modified to state that there will be internal, external muntins?
If the commission is leaning in that direction.
If the commission's leaning that way.
You could put a
Okay.
condition for the front facade
Right.
to have those internal, external muntins.
Great. Thank you so much. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Let me close the floor to public comment, and let's talk about the windows.
I think the clarification related to the muntins on the front of the house clears up any concern that I had, particularly with our discussion last month related to Buena Vista. The rear of the house is, for lack of a better term, a hodgepodge. There have been multiple additions. There's not a lot of consistency amongst those windows, so I don't see any issue with the rear modifications to the style, and the front being maintained alleviates any other concern, as already stated.
Well, and I also really appreciate hearing that one of the reasons they were changing from double hung to casement or, other windows was because of code issues with egress, being able to get out. I thought that was an important point on why there was that particular change. And having the clarification on the internal, external muntins satisfies me in terms of the design guidelines. Any other questions, folks?
So it doesn't involve any trim change at all, correct?
Our understanding is that
Window trim?
There's no trim changes.
No trim changes?
The only thing we do is we cover the exterior trim, the wood trim, it's a Fibrex coated aluminum wrap. So it still looks like wood, but it doesn't have any damage like wood gets.
It just looks like that the front windows have a header on them or something at the top, and I just was curious, would that remain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that will remain. We'll actually just cover the wood that's right underneath it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Further comments or questions? All right. So we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5524 Ginger Cruz petitions for certificate of appropriateness for a design and material change to the windows on the primary structure on the property located at number 3 Hillcrest in the Hillcrest Historic District, Council District 2, with the stipulation that the windows on the front facade have internal and external muntins. Good. All right, and let's vote. Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes?
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. McCool?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Deason?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Mr. Hubbard, the application has been approved. You do need to have those internal and external muntins. Should anything change, see city staff before you proceed. There will be a final inspection, and good luck with the project.
All right, next up tonight is HPC 5624, Eugene James Nagel III, petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the removal and replacement of a deck that can be viewed from the right-of-way. This is on the property located at 404 Caplewood Drive in the Caplewood Historic District, Council District 4. Here is an image of the property from above and where it's situated in that historic district. Here is a photo of the primary structure. Its neighboring property to the north, to the south, to the east. So the proposal, the applicant would like to remove and replace the side yard deck and stairs. The deck today, as well as the proposed deck, they both access the second story of the home. The proposed deck is 10 feet by 15 feet, 6 inches, and has 4-foot wide stairs. The height of the deck measured at the floor is 13 feet and 8 inches, and the material is a pressure-treated lumber. Here again is the primary structure on the property. And moving down the left side, you can see the deck that exists today. Here is a site plan. You can see the new deck and stairs in kind of the shaded gray, while the existing deck is in the diagonal lines. So this will be the new deck location. Here are some elevations showing the proposed deck. Again, the height at the floor is 13 feet 8 inches. The material is a pressure-treated lumber. And here are our applicable design guidelines for decks. And a few more for decks. We did not receive any public comment on this application. Do you have any questions for staff?
Not at this time, thank you. I'd like to invite the applicant's representative to come up, please, and state your name and address.
Good evening. Chairman, members of the commission, Al Cabinets with Cabinets Engineering, representing James Nagel. Mr. Nagel has he needs to do some maintenance on that deck. It's a structural steel frame. And rather than do that, he wants to just remove it and build a new pressure-treated wood deck. Same location, from the front it'll be the same location on the side of the house, the same width of the side of the house, is slightly larger front to the back. So it extends toward the rear of the house further than the existing deck. It could be like just doing it out of wood. It's going to look a little better with the house. That it looks like it was added on at some point. I don't know if that's the original deck, probably not, but anyway, we think we can build something out of wood that looks more in keeping with the house.
Are there any questions for Mr. Cabinets? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've had no submitted public comment. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? Then let me close the floor to public comment and open the floor up to comments by the commission members. Seems fairly straightforward, slightly larger deck. Materials are appropriate. Sounds to me like we have a standing motion to approve. HPC 5624, right. Eugene James Nagel III petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the removal and replacement of a deck that can be viewed from the right-of-way on the property located at 404 Caplewood Drive in the Caplewood Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote. Mr. Deason?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. McCool?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes?
Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Mr. Cabinets, the application has been approved. Should anything change, talk to city staff. There will be a final inspection, and good luck with the project.
Next up is HPC 5724. Robert Woldridge petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a patio. This is on the property located at 1225 16th Avenue in the Oakwood Court Historic District, Council District 4. Here is an image of the property from above, as well as where it's situated within that historic district. Here is a photo of the primary structure on the property, the adjacent property to the north, to the south, and to the west. So the proposal here, the petitioner would like to replace the rear yard carport that was destroyed by a fallen tree limb with a new wooden patio structure with a gable roof. The overall height of the structure is 15 feet. There'll be no new concrete poured, and the materials include cedar posts, asphalt shingles to match the primary structure, and tongue and groove for the ceiling. Here again is the primary structure. Here's that carport today, having been destroyed by that fallen tree, and some additional photos of that tree in damage. Here is the site plan. You can see on the left where the carport was previously, as well as where it's proposed for this new build. You can see it's going in the exact same location and size. Here's just a elevation from the front showing there's no changes on the front facade of the structure. And now moving into the backyard, you can see on top the existing patio structure had a flat metal roof. On the bottom, the proposed structure with that new gable roof, as well as asphalt shingles and those wood columns. We have a few more angles here. You can see the gable structure and just one more side elevation here. Again, the material is cedar posts, asphalt shingles to match the primary structure, and tongue and groove on the ceiling. Here are our applicable design guidelines for porches, roofs, and roofing materials. We did not receive any public comment on this application. Do you have any questions for staff?
It appears we have none, thank you. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up, please. And if you could state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Good evening, I'm Bobby Wooldridge, 1225 16th Avenue.
Well, welcome to the hearing. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the commission members?
I think when I said cedar posts, that we're going to be using the existing metal posts, but they're going to be cedar wrapped posts as opposed to solid cedar posts.
Got it, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Woodridge?
I don't have any. I will just clarify that this drawing indicates that they are cedar clad. So I don't know if that was in the verbiage of what was in the presentation, but yeah, I see no issue with them being cedar clad. I appreciate the very clear drawings.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Seeing none, I will close the floor to public comment and open the floor to the commission. I think it's an improvement. It's a design that fits well with the main structure. All right, so it appears that we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5724, Robert Wooldridge petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a patio on the property located at 1225 16th Avenue in the Oakwood Court Historic District, Council District 4. Just to clarify, these are cedar wrapped metal posts, and we shall vote beginning on my right, please. Mr. Deason?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. McCool?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Your application has been approved. Good luck. Should anything change, see city staff, and there will be a final inspection.
All right, last on the agenda tonight, we have HPC 5824, Testney Adcox LLC petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a parking pad. This is on the property located at 1217 16th Avenue in the Oakwood Court Historic District, Council District 4. Here is the property from above, as well as where it's situated in its historic district. Here's a photo of the primary structure on the property. It's right next door to your application you just heard. Another neighboring property. Moving into the proposal, the applicant would like to construct a 20 by 20 foot parking pad at the rear of the primary structure. This is to add 2 additional parking spaces. The applicant did confirm that this parking will be less than 35% of the rear yard. The material for this is concrete. So again, here's that primary structure. Here's just an angled photo showing there are 2 driveways on this property. It is the right driveway where this parking pad will be accessed from. Here is that driveway today. A driveway extension was approved by staff via expedited review. Tonight you all are hearing the parking pad itself. Here is a site plan showing that parking pad in the red box, as well as the ground coverage showing 33%. The material is concrete. And here are our applicable design guidelines for parking. some additional design guidelines for parking, and appropriate materials for parking. We did not receive any public comment. Do you have any questions for staff?
We have none, thank you. Let me invite the applicant to step forward, please, and if you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record.
So Chase Adcox, 1904 University Boulevard. Thank you so much for having me this evening. It is kind of wild that both these applicants are right beside each other, but we went through a pretty extensive renovation of the interior and just trying to get parking off the street, and it will pretty much mimic what you just heard, absent the carport.
Are there any questions for Mr. Adcox? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? Let me close the floor to public comment and open the floor to some discussion by the commission. Hearing nothing, we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5824 Tesney Adcox LLC petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a parking pad on the property located at 1217 16th Avenue in the Oakwood Court Historic District, Council District 4. And we shall vote. Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. McCool?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Deason?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Mr. Adcox, your application has been approved. Should anything change, see city staff. Good luck with the project, and there will be a final inspection. Thank you very much.
All right, Commission, our last item tonight in other business is that since our last meeting, we've had 20 expedited review approvals.
Anything that stands out in any way of those expedited reviews? These were most of them exterior? Because you include interior expedited reviews as well. How many were exterior?
That's right. I don't have the exact number in front of me. We normally see a mix of interior and exterior work on these applications.
Right. Yeah, that number it's a lot, but I know a lot of them are not exterior. And, all right, thank you very much. Seeing that there is no other business, I hereby adjourn.